Hey friends, I'm Jonathan Smith, and this is Jump In with Jonathan, the podcast that makes you think, smile, and take action. Are you ready to jump in this show with me? Let's go. Welcome back, friends. I'm your host, Jonathan Smith, and I am so glad you're tuning in today. This episode is about something deeply personal, something that touches every single one of us. It is called Your Identity is Not Your Mistakes. We've all made mistakes. It was a choice you regret, words you wish you could take back, or an opportunity you missed. And if you like me, you've probably replayed those moments in your head over and over and over again, wondering what if I had done things differently. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to today. Your identity is not your mistakes. What you did is not who you are. And learning to separate the two can free you from shame, it can unlock growth, and give you back your confidence today. So I want to look first of all at why do we let mistakes define us? Part of it is psychological. Our brains are wired with something called negativity bias. That means we remember the bad moments far more vividly than we do the good ones. You might forget 10 compliments that people have given you, but you will always remember that one insult or one failure for years. If you look at different people throughout your life, they could do a million things that are good, but you may remember the only one bad thing that they have ever done. Society makes it worse. We live in a world that loves labels. So if you failed in a business, they love to label you as a failure. If your marriage ended, you're divorced, and that label can overshadow everything else about you. And I know that one as a personal example in my life, in pastoring and being affiliated with churches and different ministries. That is something that a lot of people judge me for, is for being divorced. They don't care what happened and what caused the divorce and what led up to the divorce. All that they care about is that I'm divorced. So I screwed up something in my life, which is not true. If you struggled in school, then you're not smart. And that's not true. There's a lot of people out here today that has common sense but has zero book sense. And on the same token, there's people out here that has book sense that has very little common sense. So to say someone's not smart because they didn't do well in school, or to say someone is smart because they did very well in school, is not a fair judgment of character. Think about it. Do you ever introduce yourself by your mistakes? We don't say, "Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm the one who lost her job." We don't say, "Hi, I'm Jonathan, and I'm divorced." Um, but internally, that's exactly how many of us talk to ourselves. For example, I once knew a person who failed in a college exam, and instead of seeing it as a momentary setback, this person began to call themselves stupid, dumb, ignorant, really hard and judgmental on themselves. That single event led them to drop out entirely out of school. The reality is he wasn't stupid or ignorant or dumb as he proclaimed. He just needed better study habits. But because they let the mistake become their identity, they cut themselves off from opportunities. Never let your mistake become your identity, but become, let yourself see your mistakes as an opportunity to grow. So not only do we want to look at why we tie our identity to mistakes, but I also want to look at us separating what you did from who you are. Here's the shift in what we all need to make. What did what you did is not who you are. You failed an exam. That does not make you a failure. You may have lost money in the stock market, gambling or whatever, but that does not make you worthless. You may have hurt someone with your words, but that does not mean that you're incapable of being kind. That does not mean that you're a cold hearted, worthless, pathetic jerk. When we think of mistakes as events, events are temporary. They happen, you experience them, you learn from them, you move forward from them. They're not meant to become your permanent identity. Michael Jordan is widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. And he once said, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Michael Jordan did not look at the missed shots as failures and as mistakes, but he looked at them as opportunities on on places that he can grow as an individual. That's the way you and I should look at our opportunities today. We also um, need to reframe our identity. When you catch yourself saying, I'm a failure, replace it with, I failed at this one thing, but here's what I learned. That tiny shift changes everything. It moves you from shame to growth. And I don't think it's necessarily something to be ashamed of when you fail in certain areas of your life and you've learned from them. I personally think that's something you should be proud of because you picked up your pieces and you moved on, and it made you a stronger person, it made you a better person, it made you a greater person. So when we look at that, I want us to look at turning our mistakes into lessons. The most successful people in history are often the ones who failed the most because they learned to turn mistakes into lessons. I've always said, and when I counsel someone and have to give them advice on something, I always say take your mistakes and make them stepping stones and not stumbling blocks. In other words, learn from them, grow from them. Think of the great people in the world. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he founded. That could have been the end of his story. Instead, he came back years later and reinvented technology as we know it. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Imagine if she would believe that. Today, she is one of the most influential voices in the world. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before someone finally took a chance on his book. The book he wrote was called Harry Potter. 12 rejections, but she didn't let that define her identity. The way that you and I can move on in life is first of all, reflect. Don't dwell on what if. Journal what happened and write down to yourself, what did this mistake teach me? Reframe. Replace self defeating words with growth centered words. Rebuild. Set a small, realistic goal that helps you move forward. Even one small win will rebuild your confidence. Release. Learn to forgive yourself. Carrying shame into every new day is like dragging around a suitcase full of bricks. It's time to put it down. Don't be carrying around, well, I failed. I'm the worst person in the world. I'm a failure. I'm this. I'm that. No, 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 friend. Set that to the side and tell yourself, I have learned from this. I'm going to become a bigger, better person. So I want to leave you with a couple thoughts as I finish up here today. Let me leave you with this. Your past is a place of reference, not a place of residence. Get a hold of that. Your past is a place of reference, something I refer back to, not somewhere that I currently reside. You do not live there anymore. Yes, mistakes shape us, but they do not define us. They are teachers, they are not prison guards. We learn from our mistakes. Our mistakes do not hold us captive. Think of one mistake that you've been carrying around as your identity. I want you to write it down. After you write it down, and then next to it, I want you to write the lesson you learned and one way you've grown since you've made that mistake. And when you look at it that way, you'll start to see that your mistakes weren't dead ends. Your mistake is not the end of the story, it is just the beginning. Your mistake, your failure, your value of life is not the end of the story. They're just detours that will eventually lead you to growth. When we're driving down the road and we fail to pay attention to our map and we get lost, we don't look and say, oh boy, I failed. I'm not going to make it to this place. No, what do? We turn around and we figure out a way to make it back to the place that we were headed. It was just a temporary detour. So when you think about your failures in life, that's not the ending. That can be the beginning of a beautiful story of how something horrible happened to you and how it has changed you and turned you into being a better person. Thank you for spending time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend who might need a reminder that they are stronger than their mistakes. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join me next time on Jump In with Jonathan for more conversations about growth, resilience, and purpose. As we get ready to sign off today, remember this: mistakes are events, not identities. You are not your past. You are a work in progress. And that's a beautiful thing. Until next time, stay positive until we jump in again. Thank you for listening to today's episode on Jump In with Jonathan. And keep in mind that life is better when you jump in. Have a blessed day.